The FLW Tour. With a first place prize of $200,000 on the line, everyone's bringing their A game. Hank Parker joins us today to help preview the strategies of 3 pros who know what it takes to succeed on Arkansas's Beaver Lake. We'll also teach you how to practice like the pros as we prepare you for the 4th stop on the Walmart FLW Tour. All the action starts right now on FLW Outdoors.
Hello everyone and welcome to FLW Outdoors. Today we're joining you from Beaver Lake in northwest Arkansas, the site of the 4th stop on the Walmart FLW Tour. I'm Carlton Wing with Taylor Carr and Hank Parker. And guys, usually this is a spawning event. We have beaten the spawn and we have also beaten springtime. It's still winter here in northwest Arkansas.
It's 34 degrees this morning. It's going to be a real factor.
Well, I think that 34 degrees is measured at the airport. Out here on the water with the wind chill, it's probably about 25 degrees. It is cold.
Well, usually at Beaver Lake, the storyline is always sight fishing and the spawn, but this year, guys, it's going to be different.
Well, I think last year the water temperature, they tell me, was about 59 to 65 degrees, and this year it's about 49 to 50 degrees, so it's not going to be sight fishing.
Very little chance, maybe a 5% chance that sight fishing will be any kind of factor at all.
And for our anglers who usually contend here and usually rely on that, such as last year's champion Andre Moore and Clark Wendlandt, they're going to have to go to some of the other tricks in their bag.
It's going to be interesting to watch that. If you look at Clark Wendlandt, I'm going to spend some time with him on the water, and we'll see what his game plan is for this event. But it's always been sight fishing, and he's been in the top 10 like 4 out of 5 times, so he is the man. But he's been the man on Beaver Lake under conditions when it was sight fishing, and now it's going to be a different ballgame. So I really want to see how he fares. That's going to be neat to watch.
Well, the conditions are different, but the prestige is still the same, Taylor. This is still the Walmart Open.
Yeah, this is the 4th of 6 events, but it's $1.26 million and 200,000 of the winner. It's a big one, and these points are also important for the Jacobs Cup and the Road to Richmond.
And that Road to Richmond right now, Dan Morehead is our leader in the Angler of the Year points race. A lot of pressure on him as we're all trying to compile points to get into that Jacobs Cup.
Well, you look, Biffle's just behind him, and Tommy, he's tough, you know, and so Dan doesn't have much of a cushion. And then Clark's only like 30 points back. He's in 4th place. So this thing is really tight, and it's a lot of pressure. Not only the guys at the top, but the guys that at the bottom that are fighting to get in that 48 to make it to Richmond, because that's a big deal, man. 500 grand of the winner, that'll change your life. So a lot of pressure.
You talked to Clark Wendlandt, but also Dion Hibdon and Andre Moore. What did Dion tell you?
Well, I think Dion, I watched Dion fish, and I talked to him, and I could just see his confidence level. I think he feels like that the guys that have been here in the past, and they've learned how to fish Beaver Lake. They've learned how to fish Beaver Lake with the water about 10 feet higher than it is now. And they've all learned to fish bushes, and they fished areas and bays and creeks and coves that have bushes, and that's not the case this year. You know, last year you talked about they were fishing around picnic tables, and all the buckbrush was flooded. This year, the guys that have fished these Ozark lakes with no structure in the summertime when it's low, I think those are the guys that are going to have the advantage, and Dion is one of those guys.
How about Andre Moore?
Andre has got a lot of confidence as well. The areas where he fished last year, again, they're high and dry, but he feels like he knows where the fish are going to move, and he's in those areas, and he's catching some fish, so it's going to be interesting.
Hank joins our 3 contenders a little bit later on in the program, but coming up next on FLW Outdoors, we will preview Beaver Lake in Arkansas.
Field and Stream trivia answer. The largemouth bass is a member of which family of fish? The answer is C. The largemouth bass, as well as the smallmouth and spotted bass, are members of the sunfish family.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We're joining you from Beaver Lake in northwest Arkansas, the site of this week's event on the Walmart FLW Tour.
Yeah, this is a regular stop, Carlton. It's the 4th stop, and this one is the first big money event. In all, in the Walmart Open, $1.26 million.
Oh, it's just like do it, man. Ah, whoop. Ta-da.
The FLW Tour returns to Arkansas's Beaver Lake for the 6th consecutive year, so many pros know the hundreds of miles of shoreline inside and out. Beaver Lake is about 30,000 acres of deep, clear water fed by the White River. You won't find a bigger fan of the lake than Missouri's Rick Clunn, who won here in 2000 and plans to keep coming back.
Well, Beaver Lake is the reason that I actually live in the Ozarks. I fished it early in my career, and I really love the Ozarks. Beaver Lake is the White River chain is just a beautiful chain. No other chain can you catch quality largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass all in the same lakes.
By far the most successful pro on Beaver Lake is Texan Clark Wendlandt, with 2 wins here and 4 straight top 10s.
All right.
Like many anglers, Wendlandt likes to target spawning fish, and that raises a big question. With the event about a week earlier than last year, will the spawn be as much of a factor?
You know, I don't think sight fishing is going to be a major player this year. I think it'll be a pre-spawn jerkbait and crankbait. The water temperature's about 50 to 52 degrees, and I've had a pretty good practice, so I really look forward to it, but it's not going to be sight fishing.
I'm kind of hoping that spawn thing's not going on, but I don't know. But Beaver Lake it's a great place to fish, and if you're going to go to the lake when the water's real cold, you need to go somewhere where there's spots. And I think the spots will really come into play this time.
It doesn't usually take a big bite to win on Beaver.
That's a decent spot, huh?
Last year, rookie Andre Moore took the title, but averaged less than 10 pounds a day. And pros won't have to contend with high water this time around. Last year, Beaver was about 10 feet above normal.
Your banana boat outdoor conditions get better as the week progresses. We start with cold and breezy conditions Wednesday with lows in the 30s, but the anglers who make the cut will be rewarded financially and with nicer weather. By Saturday, we're into the mid-70s under mostly sunny skies. The UV forecast starts with a 3 and ends with a 5. Up next on FLW Outdoors, Hank Parker joins 2-time Angler of the Year, Kellogg's pro Clark Wendlandt.
Hi, and welcome back to FLW Outdoors. I'm Hank Parker, and we're on Beaver Lake in Arkansas, and we have got a dynamite show lined up today. We're going to be fishing with 3 superstars. We're going to be fishing with Andre Moore, Dion Hibdon, and we're going to start with Clark Wendlandt. The last tournament, Clark caught a smallmouth bass that weighed 8'4". I'm just amazed. He's my new hero, my new best buddy. He's going to show us how to do it.
Really, you know, usually I've done really well sight fishing here, but we're going to go out today and throw a crankbait and a jerkbait. It's a little bit earlier in the year. I think the fish are going to be a little bit deeper, so we're just going to see if we can go fishing.
Well, you are the man, and it is a treat for us to fish with you, so let's get started and catch those big smallmouth. I want to know how to do that. That's what I want to do. I never caught a smallmouth even close to that. Past, when you've done well here, as you have every time we've been here, is it been because you've put together a good consistent pattern with spotted bass?
Well, you know, most of the fishing I've done well here. I've done well. I've only fished this lake really one time other than sight fishing, and I caught spotted bass that time. But the other times, I'll target those spotted bass with sight fishing a lot. They're usually pretty easy to catch. So I've been fortunate enough to do well here and make the top 10.
Well, you are the man.
4 or 5 different times here.
You are the man here.
I always utilize spotted
You
bass.
own this place. Now, don't be too humble. You are the man. That's why I'm asking you then. That was the question.
Well, I think spotted bass are a big key because it just, you know, you have a chance to catch a limit, and then if you can catch 1 or 2 big largemouth. You know, we talk about bass fishing and kidding around, having a good time, trying to find fish, but the humbling thing about it is our troops over there in Iraq right now, that, you know, they're actually dying for our freedom, and I don't, you know, it's pretty humbling, pretty incredible.
Fishing is something that a lot of countries, they don't have that privilege, don't have the freedom, don't have the lakes, don't have the people that can be in charge like the Corps of Engineers and build lakes and do things. I mean, America's a unique place, man, and freedom comes with an awful price. And I tell you, it is humbling, and I'm so proud of our guys, and I'm proud of our president and the way this thing's being fought. And I think that every time you're out on the water or you're hunting or you're doing anything that we enjoy in America that most countries can enjoy because of suppression by the government, you have to look up in the skies and thank God and thank our troops for defending our country, because it is just an incredible place, and those guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, they really are. And I tell you what, I pray every day for them, and I know the prayer's been there for the troops, and man, just hope for the best.
Well, I say guys too, and I mean girls. We got a lot of females that are fighting for us too, and it's a unique war. It's different than anything in the history, but again, it's all for the same reason. It's for freedom for America. Are you able to change gears pretty easy? I mean, coming from Alabama and Mississippi to a whole new body of water in Arkansas, when you get here to Beaver, are you able to shift gears pretty good, or do you struggle with going from one lake to another as quickly as you do?
I think I shift gears pretty good. I think one thing that kind of puts all that into perspective, or what makes it easier to do, is just kind of mental preparation, and that's something that doesn't really get talked about all that much. But
got him, got him, yes sir.
Good largemouth.
Fish.
About time.
I heard you say largemouth. That's the neat part about Beaver Lake. You don't ever know what it's going to be.
You never know what you're going to catch.
Large, that's a good fish too. Let me get out of your way. Let's see what one of those look like. That's what they look like. Look at that. You would like to have about 5 of those.
I'll tell you right now, you catch
first day, would you?
5 of those the first day, and you'll be be in great shape, no doubt about it.
All right, you've been kind enough to show us your pattern, so I know what that's all about. I know you don't want to catch anymore, but we really need to take a commercial break. But when we come back, I want to talk to you about sight fishing, and I want you to give some real detail about how to be a great sight fisherman.
Okay, sounds great.
So we'll be right back and going to talk about sight fishing right after this commercial break. Is the key to eat a bowl of Frosted Flakes every morning before you start? Is that the big key?
Absolutely. You got to start with a bowl of Frosted Flakes, and then you got your Frosted Flakes cereal bars to go on up in the day. You got everything you need.
After you started winning everything, I started trying that, and I'm going to be honest with you, I still do better with Raisin Bran. I think it might be an age thing.
Well, shoot, to each his own. Raisin Bran's pretty good too, pretty hard to beat.
All right. And I know it's not going to work. It doesn't appear that it's going to work this trip. What is the key to being a great sight fisherman?
Well, sight fishing is more of a, not having to be fishing all the time. Be patient and watching a lot. You just got to watch those fish a lot, and try to figure out what mood they're in and if they're catchable. And a little bit of that comes from experience, but a lot of it just comes from watching the fish and kind of seeing what he may be interested in or what he's going to want. And instead of just being real aggressive and just going after the fish, that's kind of my take on it. I think a little bit of it's experience, but I think if you don't have that patience to just watch the fish, then you're not going to be able to do it real well.
You have several different kind of sunglasses. One kind of sunglass. Is that the most critical deal?
I think it is. The sunglasses I wear are solar bats, and the key I think that they've come out with is they come out with this green lens, and if you think about most places that is water's clear enough to see fish on the beds, it's green water, and for some reason that green lens really sees into that green water better.
Huh.
And the only time I think it makes a difference, I've always heard or used to hear that you need yellow lenses or you need amber lenses.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And you need those lenses, I think, when you go to Florida, when you get that brown tannic looking water. But when you're in green water, I think that they've got a lens called mossback green. I just think it's by far the best lens they make.
Do you train your eye to see them? I mean, do you really spend a lot of time looking for fish and have a trained eye? I fished with Guido, and he could see fish I never saw. I mean, just blew my mind.
Yeah, I think it's just guys that like doing it. They've spent a lot of time doing it, and they get used to it. And it's a little bit like hunting when you're sight fishing. You're kind of hunting a fish to fish for. You're not necessarily just fishing to catch a fish. You're hunting for a fish to fish for. And I've always enjoyed hunting, and for some reason, sight fishing it just fits me well.
even though it's not great conditions right now for sight fishing, I don't want to miss the opportunity to get the information and pick your brain on what it takes to be a good sight fisherman and how you go about it. So I see you got your sunglasses. I know you're the only guy that I know that is a great sight fisherman that uses bait casting equipment, so your baits have to be a little bit different, and I just want to see what those are, and I want you to tell us about them.
We'll talk about it a little bit. You know, the first thing is a great pair of sunglasses. These are solar bats. They've got green lenses, mossback green lenses, and if you don't have the proper sunglasses, you won't be able to see the fish, and that's really one of the huge keys.
You pull that hat down and get that.
Pull that hat down, and you don't want any peripheral light in there, but you know, what we're trying to do is be able to see the fish, and from there you need patience, and you need to be able to sit there and actually observe the fish, not just fish for it. Don't just cast in there as soon as you see him. And if he spooks off and leaves, you know, you just can't worry about that. That's gonna happen. He's gonna leave.
Now, do you wait on him to come back, or if he does leave, do you leave, or does that vary from fish to fish?
It really varies from fish to fish. What I will do is, I will probably not leave. I'm going to stay there until I at least make a determination whether I can catch that fish. And that's where I feel like I'm probably better than most people is that I've done this so long and caught so many fish that I feel like I can tell if I can catch them or not.
Do you feel like, now I know you've ruled here at Beaver, I mean you made the top 10 almost every event they've had here, and you've done a lot of that sight fishing. Do you feel like that it's possible that this event could turn into a sight fishing tournament?
I don't really think so. I'm going to look the next couple of days. We're going to have some sun, looks like today, this is 2 days before the tournament, and there's a chance there'll be a few. What I've found in the past is that on the Ozark lakes, the lakes that got the real clear water, there'll be some fish that spawn early. 55-degree water temperature, they'll spawn, and it'll take them a long time. They'll have to be on the nest a long time, but they'll go ahead and spawn. So I'll look some, but I don't think it's going to be
Well, that's against the rules too, you know. I mean, if you look at the rule of thumb, people think about spawn, they're thinking about 70 degrees, and you're saying here on the Ozarks that it's not unusual at 55 from the start.
Oh, definitely. 55 is definitely doable. I know I've fished a tournament on Lake of the Ozarks one time, and it was about 52 to 55 degree water temperature, and there was quite a few fish on the bed.
Well, I tell you what, it's you've set this tournament world on fire. I've been following your career ever since you started, man, and you're just doing a great job, and it's really awesome what you've accomplished. So I guess you're just going to keep right on rolling.
I hope so. You know, I think desire is a big part of it, and you know as well as I do that the young kids coming up today, they're hungry and they want to get out there and beat as bad as they can. So, you know, you got to stay on top of it. You got to fish hard, and you got to really want to do well. And
well, to me, you're a young kid.
Well, I am a young kid, and I appreciate that. But I'm getting older, and in this tournament crowd, I'm starting to get pretty old.
Clark Wendlandt, the man, boy, I tell you, I know I've enjoyed this. It's been great for me, and I know all our viewers at home are really going to appreciate it. I wish we had 2 hours, but we don't, so we need to wrap this up and move on.
All right, that sounds great. Well, hey, I enjoyed spending the day with you.
Hey, thanks, man. It's been great. Hey, coming up next on FLW Outdoors, we got Alvin Shaw on practice fishing.
Welcome back to Walmart FLW Outdoors on Arkansas's Beaver Lake. There's more from Hank Parker coming up. First, this is Alvin Shaw.
We're talking about practicing for an event. Now, Alvin, it's about 39 degrees, and it was raining like crazy earlier, but you're out here ready to practice today. Why is practice so important?
Well, you just got a short amount of time to get in all the practice you can and try to locate and duplicate a pattern for the lake. One thing I try to do is get the lay of the land. I mean, get an idea of what everything looks like, so you're trying to cover a lot of water also. Then when you do catch fish, you know other areas of the lake that you can go back that look like where you've been catching. Usually when I'm practicing, I like an array of tools out, I guess what to say. And I try to have that narrowed down, you know, like 2 or 3 rods by tournament time. During practice, I try to fish whatever the water's letting me have, I guess. So a lot of times, especially in the last couple of days of practice, I like to cover my hook barb up so I won't stick any fish and sore mouth them or cause them not to bite during the tournament when I need them. So what I like to do is just take some plain old duct tape. It just takes a little bitty piece, about the size of a dime. Then you just wrap that around there, leaving a little bit past the tip. And fish can still grab on. Sometimes you can even pull them to the top, or if you want to look at them, or you can just, you know, give them slack line. They shake that out, no problem. And then the other baits, like a jig, I may just cut the hook point off and bend the barb in. And then on crankbait, I'll just take my good hooks off, put old hooks on that are dull enough where you won't stick them.
We always hear the phrase, anglers don't want to sore mouth their fish. That's what you're talking about. You don't want to catch them and have them reluctant to bite 2 days later.
That's correct.
Something you said about fish you do catch early on. You'll look to see what they've been eating and then maybe adjust your tactics because of that.
Yeah, that's very important in my opinion. I'm putting on a new chunk on my jig. And like I say, when I caught that spotted bass, it had a crawfish in it. I reached in, you know, and pulled it up a little bit, and you could see it had little orange pinchers on it. So I'm gonna go with something with some orange on it now.
Alvin, talking about practice, some anglers always say they'll practice well, but then fish terrible in the event, or they had a great practice and do nothing in the event. Do you have a pattern like that?
Oh, yeah, that happens to everybody. Like the last tournament we had at Lake Murray, I wasn't doing anything in practice. I was really just struggling and panicking, and then I had a couple guys I'm with and travel with, David Cook and Tracy Adams. They got me on a pattern that helped me finish in 32nd place.
All right, now how about Beaver Lake? We're a couple of days out. How are you feeling about your practice right now?
Well, I've had one good day, and then a not-so-good day, and then a mediocre day. So I'm still up in the air a little bit, but a little bit apprehensive, but I think I can put something together.
You've had some good results here. You'll probably do well.
I'm looking forward to it.
We're wishing you luck.
Thanks, Taylor.
Alvin Shaw, Kellogg's Pro from State Road, North Carolina, all about practice. Stay tuned, friends. More to come on FLW Outdoors. Hank Parker and Dion Hibdon.
Hey, and welcome back to FLW Outdoors. My old buddy Dion Hibdon is going to join us and show us all the hot tips on Beaver Lake.
Well, it ain't nothing too hot right now, I can tell you that.
Well, we don't want excuses.
No,
we want to see big fish.
No excuses. We're going to get us some.
I already heard you Dad's caught one about 8 or 9 pounds.
Yes, he has.
All right, just show us how that was done.
We'll do it.
How deep do you think these fish spawn on this lake, really?
Oh, there's some of them down on the low end of the lake that'll spawn 8, 9 foot deep. Pretty easy. When they get to spawning, there's only about 3 or 4 really good creeks that they do it good in. You can find, you know, one here and one there, but like I say, there's only 2 or 3 of the creeks.
You say that. You know, you and I didn't fish against each other a whole lot. I fished against your dad for years, but you say that so as a matter of fact, like you're sure that there's only 2 or 3 good creeks, and your dad's exactly the same way. I mean, definitely sure of what's...
Yeah. That's one thing about fishing, you know, if you got to be pretty sure of, you know, what's going on, and I've fished here probably, you know, Beaver Lake in general, I've probably fished here as much here as I have, you know, anywhere in the country over the years.
So you're going to have a little home court advantage.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I've caught 3 or 4 big bass on this little crankbait, you know. But it's something that, it's not just heading down the bank throwing a crankbait. You bump that thing along them rocks, and it gets out there to be that 7, 8 foot deep where it finally leaves those rocks. You got to stop it every now and then. And half the bites I've had is just like that. Just like that when I stopped it, and that's just a springtime deal for here.
That's a good one too, babe.
Good.
So that's what you're trying to do right there? How many of those do you like to catch?
Catch a couple or 3 of those every day anyway.
Why are you smiling? You like that, don't you?
Now, was that cheesy or what? I'm explaining to you how you need to stop that every now and then, and he grabs it.
That's pretty good. I'm impressed. I know everybody in America's going to be impressed.
Yeah, my dad, not just my dad, he's my best friend. You know, we've spent the last 18 years together. Pretty much about every 2 or 3 days we see each other and we're around each other, so.
Does he pre-fish with you a lot or just?
We fish together normally. If we get to fish 5 or 6 days, we'll spend at least a day together, you know, maybe 2. But yeah, Dad, like I say, he's one of them ones that he can go to a lake and he just takes his time. He doesn't get in a hurry about anything. He takes time, figures them out.
He's one of the best fishermen that I've ever fished against, and one of the smartest guys. I'm not sure he's ever gotten quite the credit for being as smart as he really is and being able to discern water. I mean, he is just a master.
I've never seen him go anywhere that he couldn't catch it.
You said earlier that your dad was not only your dad, he's your best friend, and I've heard you say this before at some of the seminars I've been to that you've given, that he's definitely your hero. How did it feel for you to win the FLW championship, and your mom and dad both? Your mom's been very supportive as well. Sitting out there in the crowd, and you know your dad, your best friend, your hero, and you're sitting there winning the championship. Has that been the dream? I mean, is that fulfillment?
You betcha. I said both times, when I won the Classic and the FLW championship, both times if my dad would have been in either one of them tournaments, what would have been cool, and it was, one was because of illness, one was he just didn't qualify one year. Actually, both times because of illness that he didn't qualify. Missed the tournament, didn't qualify. But the neat thing about it was, both tournaments that I won, if he'd been in either one of them, he'd been the guy that had to beat. That would have been the only thing that would have made it sweeter. But the FLW championship, when I won it, that was my deal there. I won that one, and when I came in Monday before the tournament started, I told my wife, I said, okay, I said, I'm going to grind them up in this one. And she said, well, are you going to catch big ones? I said, no, but I said, it's not going to take big ones. I said, I've been here for 5 days, and I said, it's not going to take big ones. But I said, I know I can catch them. And I said, I know I can catch 10 to 12, 14 a day, 14 pounds a day, and I said, that's going to be good enough. I said, 40 in the week's out. I said, I'll little fish them to death if I have to. And I told Dad, Dad called me, and he was going to come down for the weigh-in, and he called me, and he asked me, he said, are you going to catch them? I said, yeah. I said, it's crazy, but I said, I just did figure them out.
Well, Dion, I tell you what, I wish we had all day, but you not only showed us how to catch a fish, you walked us right through it, showed us when to pause. Man, I'm impressed.
That was an accident.
Well, I think you got it figured out. I think you can do that anytime you want to.
I hope so. I hope so.
But I think this is going to be a good one for you. We're going to move on down the line, but I tell you what, it's been a real treat for me, buddy.
I've always dreamed of fishing with you, and I'm glad I finally got to.
Good deal.
Coming up, 2 FLW rookies, Jeremiah Kindy and Vince Engel, talk about their first year on the FLW Tour.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors, where each week we introduce you to the great pro anglers on the Walmart FLW Tour, including our rookies.
Anglers can qualify for the tour by doing well in the EverStart series. We're following 2 pros who qualified last year. Jeremiah Kindy, a 25-year-old from Benton, Arkansas, a great story, and also 51-year-old dentist Vince Engel from Maryville, Tennessee. This week on Beaver Lake, we got them together on the water.
It's very fun. Where else can you fish for over $200,000 cash, guys? I mean, 100,000 second place ain't bad either. I liked Louisiana. It was good. You had good luck down there. You was good. I had some misfortune, but yeah, you still laid a nice string in down there. That's fun. I grew up fishing the Arkansas River also. It's a lot like it. Over there. Oh, man. I got 8 up. I got 8 up. I promise you, he ate me up. Come on back and I'll show it again.
Jeremiah Kindy and Vince Engel have lots to smile about and lots to talk about. They're in the middle of living every angler's dream, competing in the big leagues of pro fishing.
I mean, it's just awesome. You got all these fans talking to you and wanting autographs, and just being part of it's awesome. I love it.
That EverStart, I love that thing. It's fun. You don't have quite as much pressure. This thing you do have to get a little tougher mentally. I think it's a mental game when you get at this point more than it is possibly, you know, a fishing game. We all have good technique. We all have good style. Everybody in this thing can find fish now, I'm seeing. And secret's finding fish that other people don't. If you can do that, you can win one.
In the first half of the season, both Vince and Jeremiah had their good days, just not 2 good days in a row. And after their success on the EverStart circuit, that has taken some getting used to.
Level of competition-wise, yeah, there is. There's a definite difference. These guys are good. They make a living at it. You know, it's been darn good that I'm a dentist, because I sure hadn't made a living at this fishing lately, but I've learned how to donate gracefully, I guess is a better way to put that.
I think the competition's a little stronger because in EverStart you normally do something or find something someone else is not doing. But in this deal, everybody figures out everything. And everything's got to go perfect to win it.
And since everyone's so good at this level, the pressure is tremendous. Vince and Jeremiah know all about it.
Yeah, it's hard to block it out.
It is hard. You got to do it, though.
For 8 or 9 hours in a day? Well, no, you got to block it out.
You got to block it out through practice. Everything has to be blocked out. You can't let anything interfere with your focus, or you're not going to do it.
So our rookies have realized one dream, and that's just making the FLW Tour. Part 2 of that dream is taking the stage in an FLW final. How's that going to feel?
You know, it's been elusive so far. It's been elusive. Last year, I could fall out of the boat in top 10 one. It's going to happen, and I can't wait because I just like being there. I like fishing the extra 2 days. I don't like going home. I got to go back to work when I go home.
I don't know if I could tell you. I think I just have to get there, but it'd definitely be exciting. I mean, I'm looking so forward to it. I can't wait.
Got to qualify for next year's tour, anglers must finish in the top 100. Vince and Jeremiah have got a ways to go, but if they fish well in these last 3 events, they really could do it.
Well, coming up next on FLW Outdoors, Hank Parker joins last year's Walmart Open champion Andre Moore.
So maybe that would be a tip now for the people that live on Beaver Lake. Oh, fish, fish, that's what we've been waiting on.
That's what we've been looking for.
Hi, and welcome back to FLW Outdoors. I tell you, we're having a great time looking at Beaver Lake and getting the top pros in sight, but now we go to the defending champion. Now, you got a lot of pressure on you, defending champion of Beaver Lake. We want to see how you're going to discern all this water.
Well, yeah, defending the title here is going to be, it's probably one of the most difficult things to do in a bass tournament, considering all the variables you have to deal with, but I don't know. I feel pretty good here and comfortable on this lake, and I'm going to give it my best shot.
Well, Mother Nature has definitely thrown a curve to you. You got real cold water versus warmer water last year. You're here a couple weeks earlier, and the lake's about 10 foot lower, so.
Yeah, but it's typical bass fishing tournament. It's never the same every time you come back, so you just kind of leave an open mind and go fishing.
Oh, fish. Fish, that's what we've been waiting on.
That's what we've been looking for, not the right size.
Well, that's not bad, hey.
It'll work.
Check it out.
There's a little spot, but that's a keeper in this tournament, so.
That's a keeper.
You know.
Now, is that caught on one of your baits?
Yeah, that's my Boom Boom tube.
Boom Boom tube.
Yeah, it's a special color I've made, and it's been working pretty well.
Yeah,
Everywhere I go, it kind of looks like a soft shell crawfish with that blue in it.
Looks like a spotted bass to me.
Oh, yeah.
He was happy to go back in Beaver Lake.
Definitely.
So that's how you catch one, huh? He said, boy, right by the boat ramp, I caught 3 in there on Sunday and had 1 3-pounder. I'm thinking, if I caught 3 and had a 3-pounder, I'd win this thing. I said, where'd you catch him? He said, this little pocket. I said, have you seen anybody in there? He said, no, I hadn't seen a soul. So we went down there, and I spent 2 hours fishing that pocket. I said, man, you caught those fish on Sunday. It's Friday. They ought to hit again. He said, oh, they won't ever hit again. I said, why? He said, we ate them. if you had one key strength, if you say where I'm really my strongest in fishing tournaments, what would that be?
It'd probably have to be sight fishing.
That's your...
I mean, yeah. I have a lot of other things I feel I'm pretty good at, but if somebody had to say, if we were going to schedule a tournament a certain time of year, a certain place, and what the weather could be like, it'd be a sight fishing deal. All depends on the lake, too. I mean, last year, these are probably the toughest little sight fish I've ever caught. I mean, on average, I mean, it was amazing how tough they were.
Well, you figured it out, and the whole key was not going to the bottom, but swimming over top of them.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the biggest thing with tournament fishing is making the right decision. I mean, there's some excellent fishermen out there, and I mean, the hardest thing is though making that right decision.
So it's safe to say during when the hammer drops and the green flag, hammer falls and the green flag waves for the start of this tournament, you're not just going to have one rod with one bait. You're going to have a lot of different baits for different situations.
There might be some guys with one rod and one bait, but I guarantee they're not going to be just sitting on one spot.
You tell me you watched Jimmy Houston when you were about 5 or 6 years old. Of course, he was in his 50s. We won't need to talk about that, but when you were 5 or 6. But you watched Jimmy Houston and you decided you want to be a tournament fisherman, and you start fishing national tournaments. You drive from Scottsdale, Arizona, all the way across America, and you come out here to Beaver Lake and you win your very first national tournament. That's got to be an awesome feeling, and it's got to be a real boost. What did that do for you mentally as far as giving you confidence to go on and be competitive, and what did it do for your career?
Well, I mean, as far as the mental standpoint goes, I mean, I always kind of felt that I could win a national tournament if I didn't step on my own toes. And so that was a pretty big confidence booster. I think ever since then, I've been able to fish a little more relaxed and just kind of do my thing and not worry too much about having to get a paycheck every time. You can actually kind of focus a little more on trying to catch better quality fish. And as far as my career goes, I just, I don't know, I think I'm going to be around a while now, you know.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We're outside Rogers, Arkansas on beautiful Beaver Lake, 4th stop on the FLW Tour.
Let's now update you on the rest of the FLW Outdoors family of tournaments. We'll start in the EverStart Eastern Division at Santee Cooper. Our winner, Jacob Parosnik of Prince George, Virginia, fishing the Cypress Knees with a tube and a spinner. He took first place with a $10,000 check and a brand new fully rigged Ranger boat with a catch of 23 pounds and 1 ounce.
From the BFL ranks, the Choo-Choo Division on Wheeler Lake, Craig Milton of Lawrenceburg, Tennessee won. He had 18-12. Gator Division, Lake Okeechobee, Brent Probst of Port St. Lucie was the winner with 28-14. On the Texas Tournament Trail at Sam Rayburn, the winner was Gary Paris from Emory, Texas. His winning weight, 22-7.
The RCL Walleye Circuit got underway, starting its season on the Illinois River. John Kalinsky out of Menasha, Wisconsin is the first winner. $50,000 plus a fully rigged Ranger boat. And remember, your best source for online information for all of the FLW Outdoors family of tournaments is FLWOutdoors.com.
And you know, Carlton, it might be chilly here, but it's a good time of year to start thinking about topwater baits. That's the topic of our Ask the Pro question. It comes from Rick Hutchins of Kingsport, Tennessee. And his question is, what's the best time of year to start using topwater baits? Also, what is the best water temperature to fish these lures? And what are some specific topwater lures you like? Rick, your answer comes from Arkansas pro Greg Carpenter.
Well, Rick, I like to start fishing at topwater in the spring when the water temperature, usually after the spawn, when the water temperature gets between 70 and 80 degrees, and it really makes the fish more aggressive when the water temperature is in that temperature range. It seems like they go to a feeding frenzy at that time. Got him. I often fish a topwater to draw a strike off of structure or cover. The last 2 or 3 years, I've really come on to fishing a summertime pattern on the topwater bait. and that's usually in a lily pad, heavy matted hydrilla. I use a scum frog and a flapping shad in a case like that. Usually on places that have heavy hydrilla or heavy cover, lily pads or what have you, I use a braid, a Power Pro braid, and I use this flapping shad or a scum frog or something to that effect to bring it over the top of the cover, and it works good for me.
All right, guys, time for our Snickers Sneak Preview. And since I picked Dan Morehead right last time when he made the top 10, I get to start. And I say watch for Carl Sweebeck. He's a local guy. He's finished 3rd and 4th here, and I just like his attitude on life. So I say Carl Sweebeck.
It would be easy to pick a guy like a Clark Wendlandt or a Dan Morehead on this waterway. They have both done so well at Beaver Lake. However, I'm going to go with Mark Pack, a guy who has finished in the top 10 each the last 2 years and has never finished any worse than 33rd. Mark Pack's my man.
Well, I'm going to go with Nixon. He's going to win before the year's out. We've only got 3 events left, so he's running out of time, and I'm going to pick Nixon. He's great here at his home state, so let's watch out for Larry Nixon, which is impossible. You know, we got 175 guys to win, so to pull one guy out, it's like drawing a name out of a hat, but I think Nixon's due, so I'm going to go with Larry Nixon.
And if Nixon doesn't win at Beaver Lake, then we know who Hank's pick is going to be for the next event, which is at Kentucky Lake. It'll be Larry Nixon. Or we might round out the season at Lake Wheeler and Larry Nixon once again.
I'm going to stay with the odds. I'm going to get him before it's out, so I'm going to pick Nixon all the way.
Well, for each of our 3 picks and the other 172 pros in this event, going to the road to Richmond, getting those points is going to be key, and it's going to be big for the anglers, but also it's going to be huge for the fans. It's going to be quite a show.
You know, when I competed, it was always a big deal to make it to the final tournament, to make it to the Super Bowl. So the pressure is mounting, and Richmond's going to be big. I tell you, that's a fishing city. The fan base there is strong, and there's going to be a lot of people coming out. So everybody wants to be at that event, and that's the big dance. So it's a lot of pressure going on.
Big trade show. Public's invited September 10th through 13th. If you want information, go to FLWOutdoors.com or RichmondVA.org. It's going to be a big deal. The Jacobs Cup in September in Richmond.
The only drawback to Richmond is the Coliseum's not all that big, so you need to make your reservations now. I mean, it's going to fill up. We're going to have a lot of people there, so make your reservations to come to Richmond.
Thanks for watching this week on FLW Outdoors, and be sure to tune in next week when we will crown a $200,000 winner of the 2003 Walmart Open.
Also, Angler of the Year. There's pressure to...
You're doing good. Forget it. Those socks make a lot of difference, I'm telling you. Can you not see what we're doing? Hold it right on.
The Walmart Open brings honor and money. $1.26 million is on the line for the 4th stop on the FLW Tour. The world's best anglers put their best on the line for a shot at today's $200,000 first place prize. 10 finalists will take the stage today, each hoping to hoist the big paycheck and carry away the prestige of being a Walmart Open champion. Exciting weigh-in and on-the-water action starts right now on FLW Outdoors.
Outdoors, I'm Carlton Wing. I'm Taylor Carr. I'm Charlie Evans here at the Walmart Open, the richest tournament in the state of Arkansas ever.
$1.26 million up for grabs this week, and these 10 finalists have taken major steps just to get to this stage, and also major steps in the season points race, because the season-ending championship, the Jacobs Cup, is paved with $1.5 million. How about that road to Richmond?
I'll tell you, the top 48 only will be the ones that qualify there in that no-entry fee event. $500,000 to the winner in the Jacobs Cup.
September 10th through 13th, a big trade show, and these anglers trying to get there. They get to Richmond. That's a huge feather for them to make it to Richmond.
All right, and a great opportunity for the fans as well to get out to Richmond, Virginia for that Jacobs Cup. We've got a trade show, we've got the best anglers in the world, and $500,000 to the winner.
Bracket Style Championship, last place, $12,200 to our 48th place angler.
All right, what you are about to see right here on FLW Outdoors is our unique shootout-style weigh-in. All 10 of our finalists will bring up fish, and at the end of the day, only one angler will be standing with that $200,000 check. Excitement's coming up. Don't go away on FLW Outdoors. Welcome back to Rogers, Arkansas. This is the Walmart Open on FLW Outdoors. And guys, in the first 3 events of this season, it seems like our 10 finalists at each event have had to endure some tough weather on days 3 and 4. But it was the exact opposite here on Beaver Lake. Beautiful weather was the reward for the anglers who made the cut this time.
Yeah, we started out really, really cold. Fog delay on day 2, but weather got great. But the wind died, made it a lot tougher for some of the patterns that were working. These fishermen had to adapt every single day.
And success in pro fishing is about making adjustments and adjusting to changing conditions. These 10 on stage did it best. And then today, more beautiful weather, more blue skies. That's a factor as well.
We started out with a full field, and just 10 guys made this cut. How'd they do it?
Yeah, 175 to begin things, and now these 10 on stage, your finalists, somebody will raise a check for $200,000, but the first 2 days are the key. They must get past days 1 and 2 to make it here. Here's a look back at what happened on days 1 and 2 on Beaver Lake.
Open. Day 1.
When there's a $200,000 first place check, 30 degrees doesn't seem that cold, but you still better bundle up to face the challenge of Beaver Lake and the world's best bass anglers.
I think with this temperature drop all of a sudden, I think it's going to be determination and tenacity to get probably a lot of the better bites to get in the boat, hopefully.
Are you a good cold weather fisherman?
No.
We'll see about that. Russ Moran, remember that name, in Boat 1 led the field out. And within minutes, Angler of the Year leader Dan Morehead was working a crankbait. While across the cove, fellow Evinrude pro Davey Height was the picture of concentration while he threw a jerkbait. Height switched to a deeper presentation right after that, and it produced his first fish. Surprisingly, one keeper was all he brought to the scales. How was the rest of the field catching fish? Well, not sight fishing.
Hey, catch yours, Randy.
On the jig, Charlie.
Caught him on a dirt boat. Here's mode 2.
Caught him on a worm.
On a crankbait.
On jig head worm.
A little everything.
Little trolling the tackle box.
Sight fishing guru and 2-time Beaver Lake champion Clark Wendlandt used several methods to catch his limit, but at 10.5 pounds, it was only good for 29th place.
I caught a limit, but it just wasn't what I'd hoped for.
Land O'Lakes pro Keith Williams stayed with a crankbait all day, and it paid off to the tune of 8th place.
I knew it was going to change up with the weather, as it always does in the springtime, so I just went fishing today. I didn't try to stay in one spot too long, covered a lot of water, and just put my trolling motor down and fished hard.
And remember Sean Stickler, who said he didn't like cold weather fishing? He liked it enough for 13-3 and 6th place. And that football of a spotted bass belongs to Oklahoma's Joel Baker. It came on a crankbait, but a Carolina rig produced 4 nice smallmouth and put him in 2nd place.
You want to find a place where you've got chunk rock about the size of your hand that changes to pea gravel, and right on that line, the smallmouth were laying there.
But the catch of the day came from the man in boat number 1, Russ Moran of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and included 2 fish over 5 pounds.
Got 5 fish here. Check the weight, folks. 17 pounds, 8 ounces, our tournament leader.
And that sack gave Moran a 3-pound lead on the field. Day 1 Snickers Big Bass came from Pete Winters of Galena, Missouri at 5.12.
Walmart Open. Day 2.
It's 7:15 on day 2 at Beaver Lake. Takeoff was scheduled for a half hour ago, but there's fog on the lake, and right now nobody's going anywhere.
And it was more than just a little foggy. Somewhere in that pea soup are 175 boats.
So what do you do during a fog delay?
sit here and tell fish stories.
Catch up on old times.
I've seen the fog sit here till 11 o'clock in the morning. There's nothing I can do.
This delay lasted until almost 9, so 2 hours of fishing were lost. That, combined with changing weather, kept day 2's bite down. Only 19 limits, compared with 57 the first day. Notable exceptions were Randall Hudson, whose 14 pounds shot him all the way from 86 to the top 10. Dan Morehead, who qualified for his 3rd final in 4 events. Rick Clunn, who made the finals for the 2nd straight time. Scott Martin, with 2 solid stringers to qualify in 2nd place. And leading the way again, Russ Moran, adding 11 more pounds for a 2-day total of 28.5 and the top qualifying spot.
So I just started fishing the creeks in the middle of the lake and targeting fish where I thought fish should be staging to spawn. And then when the cold front come in, it got cold. I think that played into my hands. Instead of the fish going shallower, they backed right back to them points, and that's where I found them.
Moran caught his day 2 fish on a crankbait and a jighead worm. Remarkably, he'd never seen Beaver Lake before this event. The rest of your top 10, Aaron Martins, Wesley Burnett, Jim Akins, Jim Moyna, and Rock Monteith. Missing the cut, 2-time champion Clark Wendlandt. Day 2's big bass belonged to co-angler Mary Parnell, a 5-pound, 4-ounce mean-mouth bass, a cross between a spot and a smallmouth, and may be the largest ever caught in Arkansas. On the co-angler side, Roy Altman of Augusta, Georgia, had 5 pounds, 4 ounces and won the $40,000 first prize. When we come back, you'll meet our 10 pro finalists.
Welcome back to Rogers, Arkansas, and the Walmart Open. We have 10 finalists on the stage right now, and one of our 10 will hold up a $200,000 check by day's end. As we mentioned before, 175 pros began this tournament. We cut ourselves down to 10 who made what we call the Poland cut. Let's meet our 10 finalists right now. Our first finalist is in his first FLW Top 10. He was the co-angler of the year in 2001, and in his 2nd season in front of the boat, he's looking at his best ever finish. Currently in 10th place from Hot Springs, Arkansas, Wesley Burnett. Our next finalist is a veteran of the EverStart Series, competing in his first year on the FLW Tour. Consistent catches of 9 pounds, 3 ounces, and 10.5 earned a slot in his first FLW Top 10. Currently in 9th place from Nixon, Missouri, Jim Akins. Our next finalist is in his 18th FLW Top 10. He's the all-time leader in that category. He's also a 3-time FLW tournament winner with a win right here at the Walmart Open in 2000. He's one of the most recognizable names in the sport. Currently in 8th place from Ava, Missouri, Rick Clunn. Finalist finished 12th at last year's Walmart Open. He finished the 2002 campaign ranked 16th in the season standings. His day 2 limit of 11 pounds secured a slot in this, his 4th FLW Top 10. Currently in 7th place from Castaic, California, Aaron Martins. Our next finalist is another former co-angler champion who is seeing success as a pro. He won his first tournament 3 years ago at the age of 24, the youngest ever winner. He's looking for victory number 2 today, currently in 6th place from Clewiston, Florida, Stanley Pro Scott Martin. Our next finalist is in his 6th season on the FLW Tour. This is his 2nd Top 10. His first came earlier this year at Lake Okeechobee. His 5-fish limit yesterday put him in 5th place, just under 6 pounds off the lead. From Columbia, South Carolina, Rock Monteith. Our next finalist is a former FLW tournament winner taking the Forest Wood Open in 1997. His 4-fish for 8 pounds on Friday kept him close to the lead. Currently in 4th place, trailing by 5 pounds, 13 ounces from Carver, Minnesota, Lowry's Pro Jim Moyna. Our next finalist is enjoying his best FLW tournament ever in his rookie season. He led after day 1 with 17.5 pounds. He led after day 2 with a total of 28.5 pounds. He's currently in 3rd place, just under 4 pounds off the lead. From Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Russ Moran. Our next finalist is in his 6th year on the FLW Tour. He finished 2nd at last year's Walmart Open, taking home a check for $105,000. Friday's weight of 13 pounds, 4 ounces has him currently in 2nd place, just 9 ounces off the lead. From Washburn, Missouri, Randall Hudson. Our final finalist is the current leader in the Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year race and added to his leading margin with this, his 3rd top 10 of the season. 7th in his career. He's a former FLW tournament winner looking for another. He's your leader with a total weight of 13 pounds, 13 ounces. From Paducah, Kentucky, Evinrude Pro, Dan Morehead. Ladies and gentlemen, your 10 finalists for the 2003 Walmart Open. When we come back on FLW Outdoors, we will show you how our 10 finalists got to where they are. We'll take you on the water and begin to see some of those amazing fish from Beaver Lake on FLW Outdoors.
Walmart Open.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors and day 3 of the Walmart Open, where our 10 finalists who braved the bitter cold of day 1 and survived a 3-hour fog delay on day 2 have been rewarded with beautiful weather here on day 3. We've got a great mix of 10 finalists, including some of the biggest names in the sport. Also, our season points leader, Dan Morehead. We'll talk to him in just a few moments, but first, Taylor Carr is with one of the rookies, Russ Moran.
This is Russ Moran from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, the leaders after day 1 and 2, and he's got quite a story to tell. 1 week ago, he had never seen this lake. Russ, how can you explain your success here?
I'd say it's just good fortune. It's time for me to change my luck and have some good luck instead of bad.
I imagine it's more than just good luck. How did you find this spot here?
Well, when first day I got here, I just come looking for a main tributary, a creek. This is the first one I drove up on, and when I got in here, I was just looking for the same thing I would at home, just a pre-spawn staging areas, points, creek points.
Moran's instincts pay off. His second fish comes at 8:40 on a jighead worm, a spotted bass that weighs 2 pounds.
Coming up, ooh-wee, ooh-wee. Boys, I'd like to bring him around. Net him, net him, net him, net him. Net.
Let's get back to the Weed Eater boat where Evinrude Pro Dan Morehead is enjoying a fast start. His third fish comes at 8:44 and gives him 5.5 pounds.
I've just been paralleling these banks, throwing a crankbait, trying to keep the bait about 8 to 10 foot, throwing the bait on light line and just covering water, just stay moving. Now this one I want. I've been denied the last 2, but we're going to go for this one.
You're fishing better than anybody else has. I mean, 3 top 10s in 4 events. You got a good commanding lead in the Angler of the Year race. A confidence boost all season long.
You know, I wish I knew what it was and I could bottle it and sell it. Life is large right now. I've got, great sponsors standing behind me and my family. My daughter, I enjoy her. I keep saying it. I know it sounds repetitious, but I'm making good decisions. Everything's paying off. I don't know. I'm just going to keep riding it.
Not everyone is catching fish. Approaching 9 a.m., Wesley Burnett, Jim Akins, Rock Monteith, and Jim Moyna are still looking for their first keepers. Back to Russ Moran. He got his third at 8:54.
One's got it. Net. Boy, they're not eating it. They're not hitting it hard. They're just getting it and swimming around with it.
At 9 o'clock, Morehead's added another keeper and leads with 7.5 pounds, followed by Moran and then Scott Martin.
There's one.
Morehead isn't wasting any time getting a limit.
He's running at me. I can't tell. He's a pretty good fish. Largemouth. Thanks, sir.
His fifth fish comes at 9:10.
There's number 5, boys.
Dan's plan is working. A slow retrieve on a green and brown man's crankbait, and he's right on time.
10 after 9.
But Moran isn't letting Morehead run away. He switches back to a crankbait from a jig head worm, and the day 1 and 2 leader boats his 4th keeper.
Deepy, deepy.
Now, Russ, based on your practice, did you expect to do as well as 17 pounds on the first day?
No, I didn't. I mean, that surprised me as worse than anybody out there. That was them 5 that I weighed in that day was bigger than anything in 4 days of practice. I didn't have 5 that was that big.
Over to Scott Martin, who's about to catch his 3rd keeper.
Well, go in there and catch him.
Searching for stained water, Martin has made the long run east to Cliffy Creek, and there he's flipping a 1/2-ounce brown jig.
That's a good one. Well, it's not a real good one, but it's a spot right here. That's a keeper. I think it's a spot, yeah. All right, thank you, Lord. Not a giant fish, but we'll take everything we can today. That hook fell out.
Coming up on FLW Outdoors, more day 3 action as Scott Martin climbs the leaderboard. Spectacular sunny skies on Arkansas's Beaver Lake. This is day 3 of the Walmart Open. Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. These anglers have had to deal with changing conditions. Day 1, cloudy and cold. Day 2, foggy and cold. And on day 3, the first day of the finals, warmer and beautiful sunlit skies. The temperatures have reached the 60s, and Stanley Pro Scott Martin is moving, really moving, heading back to the west end of Beaver Lake. On the leaderboard, Martin's still in 3rd, now with 6 pounds in the boat. He's trailing Dan Morehead and Russ Moran. Then it's Randall Hudson and Jim Moyna. Moyna, fishing out of the Lowry's boat, is about to make a charge up the leaderboard.
There's one.
It's his 3rd fish and comes on a jig head worm. Give him 5 pounds. 5 minutes later, and still finesse fishing, Moyna gets into his 4th fish, his best one of the day.
That one you call pregnant right there. Oh, so nice.
Moyna knows about the pressure of fishing for big paychecks. He won the Forest Wood Open in his 1st year on the tour.
It's a 10-person tournament for $200,000. It's like, man, with those kind of odds, you can't afford to not have a little pressure.
What Moyna doesn't know is that he's caught his last keeper of the day. Meanwhile, Missouri pro Jim Akins is just getting started. Flipping a jig as usual, he catches his first 2 fish 2 minutes apart, but they're small spots. Akins will have to improve to stay in the game. That's another Missouri pro with a fish on, Rick Clunn, making his record 18th appearance in an FLW top 10. This was Clunn's 3rd keeper. Earlier in the day, he talked to Carlton Wing.
Rick, what's been your key to success so far this week?
Probably my main key has just been staying up in the river, staying away from the ultra clear water. We've had real good conditions for that with the wind and stuff, but I was afraid we'd lose the wind and the clouds. And my problem, though, is that this water up here is actually clearing. It's clearer than I like.
Back across the lake, leader Dan Morehead is still catching fish on that crankbait. He's on his 9th keeper and has culled his way up to 12.5 pounds. At noon, it's still Morehead and Moran 1 and 2, with Moyna up to 3rd. But watch out for Randall Hudson. That's him flying along in the Rubbermaid boat. He's coming off a 2nd place finish here last year, and he's from just up the road in Washburn, Missouri. So he can find his way around Beaver Lake upside down. Hudson ends up in Brush Creek, an area he had not fished in practice. But like we said, he knows Beaver Lake. And in the span of 24 minutes, with a jerkbait and a crankbait, he makes a serious run at the leader.
There he is. Fish. Good one, too. Oh, God, there's a good one. Oh, he's a Kentucky. There's a fish. Oh, I believe he's a good one, too.
With 11 pounds in the boat, Hudson needs a quality bite to keep pace with Morehead. At 222, he gets it.
Fish on.
Fish, Roy.
Good fish, too. He's a good one. I need him. Come on. That'll put
I'll get rid of my leathers.
Hudson now has over 13 pounds. He doesn't know it, but he's taken the lead from Morehead.
That wind's gonna put the fish to biting. Boys down the lake gonna whoop them. They know the right points to get on.
And Morehead knows. His last fish turns out to be his best fish, and it puts him back in the lead.
Yeah, he doesn't feel that big, though. Yeah, but get the net, get the net, get the net. That's a big one. That's a big spot. Ready? Look at there, look at there, look at there. Look at there. There's 15 pounds, boys.
Dan's math was a little bit off. That big spot gives him 13-13 and a slim 9-ounce lead on Hudson. When we come back, Morehead tries to hold his lead on Beaver Lake.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors, and we are at the 2003 Walmart Open. Now, our 10 finalists fished yesterday. That was day 3, and some of them have a lead. Dan Morehead is our leader. 9 others trail him, and Dan Morehead is a 9-ounce lead over Randall Hudson. Then there's Russ Morgan, Jim Moyna, Rock Monteith. That's 1 through 5. And then we start out with Scott Martin, Aaron Martins, Rick Clunn, Jim Akins, and Wesley Burnett. That is your leaderboard as we stand right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we have met the anglers. Now let's meet their fish. Let's begin our shootout style weigh-in right now. Our 10th place person is Wesley Burnett from Hot Springs, Arkansas. He weighed in 2 pounds 9 ounces on day 1. He needs to be able to take the lead to stay in this game, and he will need 11 pounds and 5 ounces to do so. 11.5 is what we're looking from Wesley Burnett.
Burnett couldn't take over the lead and ended his first trip to the top 10 in 10th place, but ended it with a smile.
Tough day out there over the last 2 days, but again, the worst you can do here today is $21,000.
I will take that, Charlie. I want to thank my dad, my mom. They drove in last night and this morning, and my dad made it possible, and my mom has made it possible for me to be here, you know, to do what I've dreamed to do all my life, to fish for a living. I tell you, these sponsors, Walmart, FLW, they just made my dream come true.
Missouri's Jim Akins came up next. Knowing he needed to make up a lot of ground, he switched tactics on day 4, but weighed out in 9th place.
I was on them real well in practice, and the weather got bad, and I left over the weekend and come back, and I think I really just kind of lost my fish. I think they changed on me, and I wasn't able to adjust with them like I should have been. But it's been a great tournament for me.
Rick Clunn completed his 18th top 10 appearance, improving to 7th place. The Minn Kota Pro traveled south, far away from the launch, to find some solitude and, unfortunately for Clunn, clear water.
I love to fish the White River, but I like to fish it under adverse conditions like you saw we had the first couple of days. I like it when that river is a little bit murky, and when these lakes get clear, the weather gets stable, the wind quits, the water got clear on me, it kicks my tail, and that's what it's done the last 2 days. I totally lost my largemouth. I couldn't get back on them. Actually, what you saw me weigh today was all spotted bass, so I probably wouldn't have weighed anything.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have weighed out 3. 7 finalists remain. When we come back on FLW Outdoors, we will troll a little bit closer toward crowning a champion of the 2003 Walmart Open. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Rogers, Arkansas. This is the Walmart Open on FLW Outdoors. In mere moments, one of our finalists will hold up a big check for $200,000. Let's take a look at your leaderboard right now as we stand. Dan Morehead is still out on top with a total weight of 13 pounds, 13 ounces. He has yet to weigh in. We have yet to see also Randall Hudson. Rick Clunn has weighed out. Russ Moran, Jim Akins. That's your top 5. Then it's Jim Moyna, Rock Monteith, Scott Martin, Aaron Martins, and Wesley Burnett.
When Aaron Martins took the lead, the attention then switched to Scott Martin, who weighed out with a 2-day total of just over 11 pounds, good for 8th place and $24,000.
You know, I want to say thank you for the troops that are overseas, you know, fighting this war. You know, they're protecting our freedom, and without those guys, men and women, and a lot of them are younger than me, you know, we wouldn't be able to sit here and do this without them protecting our country and protecting our freedom. So my hat's off to our armed forces.
Rock Monteith brought up 5 fish for 8 pounds. Good enough for a short-lived lead, because Minnesota's Jim Moyna was next. The Lowry's pro weighed all 5 of his fish, took the lead, and knocked out Monteith.
Jig head worms on dock. What area of the lake were you in?
About the middle of the lake.
Again, describe to us the amount of weight there and the line size.
I used a little small weight, 3/16 ounce and 6-pound test line.
6-pound test line.
It cost me some this week, but it helped me too.
It cost you some fish, but also probably wouldn't have got as many bites if you hadn't used that light line.
I tried the bigger line and it just wouldn't bite it, Charlie.
You're in really clear water. I can see the foot of that Minn Kota trolling motor there, just like it was sitting out in the open air.
Yeah, some of the fish were right on the corners of the dock and some were stuck back under.
Jim Moyna's lead also wouldn't last long. Tennessee rookie Russ Moran took over the top spot, ending Moyna's tournament with a 4th-place finish and a $39,000 payday.
Just barely edged out there, but doing a great job of fishing today.
Yeah, you know, every day I went out, I didn't know if I was really going to catch them or not, and lo and behold, it seemed to work out pretty good. I was really, after the last 2 days with the clear skies, calm conditions, I was barely getting enough bites, and today I probably caught about 10 or 11 keepers, so it was kind of fun out there today.
All right, did a great job here. Jim Moyna from Minnesota. Let's give a good round of applause.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 6 of our anglers have weighed out, 4 remain, and we will cut it down to 2 when we come back on FLW Outdoors. Welcome back to the prestigious Walmart Open, coming to you from Rogers, Arkansas. $200,000 awaits our winner. Let's take a look at our leaderboard right now. We've had some changing. Russ Moran is out on front, out on top, 18 pounds 9 ounces, followed by Jim Moyna, who just weighed out with 18 pounds and 3 ounces. Then there's Rock Monteith, Aaron Martins, and Dan Morehead, who still has yet to weigh in any fish. In 6th place, Randall Hudson, Rick Clunn, Scott Martin, Jim Akins, and Wesley Burnett. Our Taylor Carr is out in the audience with someone who you just saw in the last commercial break.
She's the star of the Land O'Lakes commercial. We just had to make a switcheroo and send Sarah over to sit with Dan because she was crying, Jenny.
If it's not Daddy, she's not going to sit near a man, and he would prefer it that way.
This is Jenny Morehead. Now, Dan has had a special year this year. He is in the lead for Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year. What has he done differently this year?
You know, he's practiced more, he's gotten more settled, and he finally realized that he can compete with all the good ones out there. He enjoys their company, and he can compete with them, and he's finally mentally ready to do it.
He seems so focused and optimistic. I'll ask you, will he win Angler of the Year?
Well, he thinks so, and if he thinks so, so do I.
The Morehead cheering camp going strong, Carlton.
As the weigh-in resumed, we saw the first of Randall Hudson's fish. The Missouri pro, who always does well at Beaver Lake, used 4 fish to take the lead from Russ Moran, who had weighed all 5 of his fish. The rookie from Tennessee was out with a 3rd-place finish.
Man, you started like a house of fire and kept it going all the way.
I think I wore my rabbit's foot down to the claws today.
This is Tennessee's Russ Moran. He was the leader after day 1, the leader after day 2. He's currently in 3rd place, entering day 4, just under 4 pounds off the lead. Now, Russ, this is your best start ever in an FLW event. This has to be a great confidence boost, making the top 10 in the Walmart Open.
Yeah, it is. It really, I think that in this sport, there's nothing more important than confidence. And after the year I started with, this right here, it really does a lot for my confidence.
How deep have you found the fish?
Anywhere from 7 to 9 feet. Usually about 8 foot deep. This crankbait will run on a long cast on 8-pound line. You can get her down about 8 foot. And that seems to be where my bites are coming from.
And are you trying to bump that off of...
Hang on just a minute. Let me catch this fish. That's a little spot. Okay, what was you saying? Both hooks come out of him just as soon as he hits the floor.
That's when you know that fortune's smiling on you.
Be 12 inches, little baby. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's quite all right. Well, now, have you been finding that bouncing the crankbait off the bottom is the key, or is it just the movement of the bait itself?
As a bigger fish, if it's hitting something, yeah, that's when you get you bite. I've been right behind me right here in this timber. I got hung on a piece of that timber the other day, and when I popped the bait off, when it come loose, I good and grabbed it. And then yesterday, Dan Morehead told me that one of his better fish come like that. He was hung on a rock and was popping it, and the fish took it off the rock. So I'm trying to get hung up while I can.
With Moran gone, the championship was now down to 3 anglers, and Dan Morehead was about to take it down to 2. The Evinrude Pro only needed 3 fish to retake the lead with 21 pounds, 7 ounces. Too much for Aaron Martins to overcome. The California Pro's 5th fish was not enough, and Martins ended in 5th place. This is Castaic, California's Aaron Martins, one of many anglers on the FLW Tour who honed his skills on the western waters. And Aaron, you have found Beaver Lake to be to your liking. Is it similar to some of the waters you fished growing up?
Yeah, it's real similar. The watercolor, the way the fish are, the depth, got some good depth on it. Just minus the trees, it's just like some of the lakes I grew up fishing.
You got off to a very good start this morning. Tell us what happened.
I'm pretty sure it's my second cast. I caught about a 4-pounder. Yeah! That's what I'm talking about, man. That's a good way to start it down, the second cast. Holy cow! Oh, man. It doesn't get better than that. I felt him inhale that bait. That's a keeper, man. Yeah. Oh. That's a 4-pounder, man. What I need, exactly what I need. I need to catch up. I felt the tick and it went slack. You feel a slack on the line. It's all this. I'm like, oh, God, the big one. He felt bigger than that, man.
Your wife comes out on tour with you, and pretty soon you're going to be fishing for 3.
Yeah. I feel like I'm fishing for 3 right now.
That's right.
Yeah, she's 5 months pregnant, so it's a pretty exciting time. Luckily, the season will be over by the time she gives birth, so I'll be able to spend a lot of time with her in the last month or 2 and still enjoy that moment.
He can do good about anywhere, anytime. Let's give him a good round of applause. He did a great job here.
All right, 8 anglers are down. Our champion of the 2003 Walmart Open will be either Dan Morehead or Randall Hudson. Just 2 pounds separates our final 2 finalists. We will crown a winner when we come back on FLW Outdoors. FLW Outdoors. Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We are at the moment of truth. Our leader is Dan Morehead with 21 pounds, 7 ounces. Randall Hudson is the only other finalist who can possibly catch Dan and take the title away. Everyone else has weighed out, starting with Russ Moran in 3rd place, Jim Moyna in 4th, and Aaron Martins. That's your top 5. Then it's Rock Monteith, Rick Clunn, Scott Martin, Jim Akins, and Wesley Burnett. Charlie Evans is with our leader right now.
Dan Morehead from Paducah, Kentucky, the winner of a Kentucky Lake event. This would be your 2nd win if you can pull it off, but you got stiff competition next door.
Well, yeah, I do. I've known Randall for a long time, and he's a very good fisherman. He excels well in the finesse type tournaments, so I'm looking forward to it.
It is going to be a shootout here down to our final 2. How are the nerves?
Oh, I'm fine. This is my 3rd top 10, and
3 out of 4 ain't bad.
3 out of 4 is not bad. This has been a year that I hope I never wake up. Whatever I'm doing, I hope I keep doing it, and just ride it right on into the Jacobs Cup.
Charlie Hoover and I talked about that momentum thing. Isn't it like 99% mental, you think?
I really, truly do. I shoot a lot of professional archery, and I really got heavy into it during the winter, and archery is 100% mental. And I believe that's one of the things that helped me out the most. I can stay focused even if something bad happens or adversity. Stay focused, stay in the zone, and make things happen.
Dan Morehead didn't use too much fuel in his Evinrude outboard. Each day he made a 15-second run from launch, fishing inside of his truck and trailer most of the time. Though the travel time was small, his fish were large. Dan Morehead is a competitor. He is not satisfied with merely making his 3rd top 10 in 4 events in 2003.
And he's not satisfied with adding to his already commanding season points lead. Dan Morehead wants to win, and he took first place on day 3 yesterday, holding a 9-ounce lead over Randall Hudson. Dan, it seems to be working well for you, and this seems to be a good spot for you. 18 keepers yesterday.
Well, I caught those fish in several different places. I did catch 4 quality fish here, and I just lost a real good one and caught a real good one. So it's a good spot. I plan to hit it several times today, let it rest and come back. But no, we're on a mission. I've got a lot of work to do today, and I'm not going to stop. Not going to rest until the mission's done. So yeah, I can't complain. It's a good year.
How do you keep that competitive edge, tournament to tournament and day by day within each tournament?
It's just a burning fire, you know. I mean, it's the competitive edge. Right now, I'm on top of my game, and I've never been so focused before in my life. I can see things happen before they do, and just make them happen.
What bait are you using, and why is that working for you?
Well, I've spent pretty much all the practice and all of the tournament throwing a crankbait. It's a man's crankbait, -8. It's a new bait they've got out. I'm throwing it on real light line, trying to get it deep. It's a small profile bait, but it dives pretty deep. And I've just been covering a lot of water. You know, it allows me to cover a lot of water and keeping the bait down there in contact with the rocks. That seems to be the key.
Yesterday, you told the story about how you got hung up and a fish actually helped you get unhung by biting the bait.
Yeah, that was actually right here on this spot. I was hung up on a rock and was trying to pop the bait free, and one took it off the rock for me, and I caught him. So I appreciated that. I needed the fish, and I didn't want to lose my bait, so that was kind of nice.
It's nice when the fish show you that kind of respect.
Isn't it all, you know you're on your game when they do that for you. That's right, boys. Let me hear some cheering. Come on, work with me. That's right. That's what it's all about.
Sounds like we're having fun out there.
Who's your daddy?
Dan Morehead from Duke, Kentucky, sitting here just a little bit on the nervous side. We got the only man that can beat him here, Carlton Wings, with him.
All right, I'm with Randall Hudson. Now, Randall knows a lot about Beaver Lake. This is a lake you excel in. You finished second here last year, and you are either first or second this year as well. What is it about Beaver Lake?
Well, I just like it. I live right next to it, for one thing, and it's got clear water, dirty water, rocks, gravel, sand. It's got a little everything.
We are in Hickory Creek, and we found Randall Hudson. He's in the Rubbermaid boat. And Randall, you must really love this area. You got guys putting boats in, you got the radio from the marina, you got crappie fishermen. What about this area is so special?
They turn a lot of fish loose here. They have tournaments here a lot, and besides all that, I've been catching some here. That's what I like about it.
There are 3 Missouri guys in the finals. Does that local knowledge help?
Sometimes, and then sometimes it can be a deficit. You know, you get to, if you're struggling a little bit, your mind starts working. You say, well, I know a better spot on the other end of the lake. Next thing you know, you spend all your time running, and I've done that too many times.
Now, you came through here with a jerkbait, and you're going back now with a jig. Tell me what your thinking is.
Well, in the mornings, I feel like there's some fish up shallow on this rock ledge, and there has been every morning except yesterday. And I have managed to catch 1 keeper and 1 small Kentucky, and lost a good fish. So the sun's getting up. I'm going to slow down and go to the jig now.
You have only 9 ounces to make up. What is your goal for the day?
I'd like to repeat yesterday. I'd love to repeat yesterday and take my chances. You know, Dan's a whale of a fisherman, and he's on a streak now that won't quit, but whatever happens is going to happen, and I'm just going to fish my best.
Dan Morehead is the leader. He leads by 1 pound and 11 ounces. Randall Hudson he has weighed in 4 fish and trails by that 111. That's what we'll need from Randall Hudson. If he has it, we will go to Dan Morehead. If he does not have any fish, Dan Morehead is our champion of the 2003 Walmart Open. Dan Morehead.
Dan Morehead has fish left.
Dan did it with just 3 fish today.
Well, he's got more than 3.
Let's bring him up to the scales and get a final weight for Dan Morehead, the 2003 champion of the Walmart Open.
Let's weigh that big one first. This anchors his string. This huge one weighs in at, just so you'll know, 4 pounds, 11 ounces. The 2 remaining fish weigh together a total of 7 pounds, 1 ounce. puts him up over. What a tremendous tournament.
All righty, Dan, let's come to the front of the stage here. We have a big presentation that I know you have been waiting for all year long.
Congratulations, Dan Morehead. On behalf of all the Walmart associates throughout the nation, Dan, we'd like to congratulate you and present you with this check for $200,000 as this year's winner of the Walmart Open.
And now we have the trophy presentation by Matt Lovelace, who's store manager for store number 1 here in Rogers.
Dan, congratulations, you and your family. Great job. Here's the trophy. On behalf of all the great associates here at Store 1, congratulations, my friend. Way to go. You bet.
Here's the big hardware, folks. Amazing. $200,000 champion. You have been working for this, 3 top 10s in this year, and you finally pulled it together here on Beaver Lake.
Well, if you're going to do one, this is the best one to do it at if it's not the Jacobs Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, your champion of the 2003 Walmart Open, Dan Morehead. Be sure to tune in next week on FLW Outdoors when Larry Nixon joins us to review this incredible championship. And also for the latest information on all the family of FLW Outdoors tournaments, log on to FLWOutdoors.com. Thanks for watching this week on FLW Outdoors.
There's a $200,000 fish. Who we boys?
Yeah, she's got a little plump going to her. He scores!